I truly hope she's okay, man. But she was crying. Caitlin Clark started crying and put the towel over her head. That is not a good sign. She started crying and put the towel over her head. This shit is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, bro. To the new fans of the W. See, we're new fans of the W, but we're old fans of Caitlin Clark.
It was supposed to be just another win. The Indiana Fever had just sealed their third straight victory, silencing the home crowd in Boston's TD Garden. The scoreboard had told one story: dominance, confidence, momentum. But within seconds, everything changed. The celebration turned to confusion, then fear, and all eyes turned to Caitlin Clark. As the final minute ticked away, Clark made a sharp cut toward the basket. It was a routine play until it wasn't. She winced, she slowed. Then she clutched her right leg, limping in visible pain. Cameras zoomed in just in time to catch the heartbreak on her face. Tears, frustration, and a quiet moment of collapse on the bench that stunned fans across the country. This wasn't just another injury. This was the same area, the same groin, that had already sidelined her earlier this season. And this time the fear hit harder, because this wasn't an accident. The kind of contact Clark had been absorbing all season had finally taken its toll. No one saw it coming, except maybe they did. Because what's happening to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA isn't just unfortunate. It's part of a disturbing trend, and this time it may have crossed a line that the league can no longer ignore. What happened on that court in Boston wasn't just painful, it was revealing. And the fallout, it might shake the league at its foundation.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. And when she was at Iowa, we didn't see none of this, man. We didn't see none of this. We didn't see her getting hacked. Bro, if y'all do not, bro, I believe Caitlin Clark is super hurt, bro. I mean, she's emotionally hurt. She's mentally hurt. I mean, she just cannot believe that these damn referees is allowing. It's like they all is against Caitlin. Like, how the hell is the whole league against you?
Exactly. We probably won't get many details about the injury, but it was honestly just so heartbreaking to see, because in that moment she just looked so defeated. And Caitlin Clark is somebody, you know, she hides it really well, and I don't know if hiding it or she handles it is probably the right thing to say. She handles the pressure. She handles all of the media spotlight, the attention, the expectations of how she performs on the court, the expectations of the ratings for her games. She handles all of that so well, and this season has just been so tough for her. When
TD Garden was electric, just not for the home team. From the opening tip, it sounded less like Connecticut and more like Indianapolis had taken over Boston. Fever fans packed the arena, their chants of "Let's go Fever" echoing through the rafters, drowning out the Suns' home court advantage. Every Kelsey Mitchell bucket, every Natasha Howard rebound, every slick Caitlin Clark assist sent the crowd into a frenzy. The Fever were rolling, dismantling one of the league's toughest teams 85-77, climbing to 12-10, and looking every bit like a playoff contender. For a moment, it felt like nothing could stop this team's surge. And then, everything shifted in an instant. One simple backdoor cut, one routine pass, and then Caitlin Clark froze. She grabbed her right groin, eyes filled with panic, her face twisting in pain. The noise evaporated. Thousands of voices fell silent as Clark hobbled toward the bench, head lowered, tears streaming down her cheeks. This wasn't fatigue. This wasn't frustration over a missed play. This was something deeper, something dangerous. The celebration was over, and the reality of the Fever season, and maybe the league's future, hung in the balance. The play looked harmless, until it wasn't. Caitlin Clark darted through the defense, made a sharp pass inside, and immediately reached for her right groin. Her momentum stopped cold, her body tensed. And then, the part that crushed every Fever fan watching, she slammed her head gently but deliberately against the basket stanchion. It wasn't just physical pain, it was frustration. It was fear. It was the realization that something had gone wrong again. And maybe this time worse than before. Caitlin doesn't show emotion like this on the court. Not often. She's been shoved, targeted, taunted all season, and she usually brushes it off with calm composure. But this time was different. On the bench, tears ran down her face as trainers rushed over. You could see it in her eyes. This wasn't just discomfort. It was déjà vu of the worst kind. Just weeks earlier, she'd missed 5 games with a left groin injury, and now her right groin had given out. That's both sides of her core compromised. For an athlete who relies on explosive cuts, stop-and-go speed, and pinpoint control, this kind of injury isn't just painful, it's career-altering. This wasn't just another setback, it was a terrifying pattern repeating itself. Caitlin Clark had already missed 5 games earlier in the season with a left groin strain. Before that, it was a quad issue, then another. Now it's the right groin. That's 3 lower body injuries in one rookie season for a player who had barely ever missed time in college. And it's not random. It's the kind of breakdown that happens when a body is pushed beyond its limits, forced to overcompensate for injuries that never fully heal. It raises a chilling question. Is the WNBA's most high-profile rookie being worn down before she's even had the chance to rise? And the worst part? Everyone saw it coming. The aggressive defense, the unchecked contact, the way Clark's drives to the rim ended with forearms to the ribs or shoulders in her chest. None of it was new. She's been absorbing hits game after game with almost no protection from referees. This wasn't just a moment of bad luck. It was the culmination of months of abuse, overlooked by the league and normalized by the officiating. The signs were all there. The bruises, the limps, the moments she grabbed at her hip after hard screens, and yet nothing changed until her body finally gave out. Again. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to June 17th. That night, the Indiana Fever faced off against the Connecticut Sun, and it was anything but a normal game. In the third quarter, Caitlin Clark drove to the rim, only to be met with a blatant foul that stunned everyone watching. J.C. Sheldon's finger jammed straight into Clark's eye. Seconds later, Marina Mabrey followed it up with a vicious body check that sent her stumbling. These weren't tough basketball plays. These were targeted, reckless hits, and they lit a firestorm across the league. That game changed everything. The moment those fouls went unpunished, a message was sent. You can hit Caitlin Clark and get away with it. Commentators were stunned, fans were outraged, but the referees barely reacted. No ejections, no flagrant fouls, no accountability. And from that day on, the physicality against Clark ramped up. Game after game, opponents pushed the line further, and officials kept letting it slide. What started on June 17th wasn't just a dirty game. It was the start of a pattern, one that would lead directly to what happened in Boston. Because when players know there are no consequences, the hits get harder, the risk gets higher, and eventually someone breaks. While the league stayed silent, Sophie Cunningham didn't. In the same game where Clark was poked in the eye and decked to the floor, Cunningham made it crystal clear. If the refs won't protect our star, we will. Moments after those cheap shots, she stepped straight into the fire, getting in the faces of both J.C. Sheldon and Marina Mabrey. No hesitation, no holding back. It wasn't just about sending a message to the Sun. It was about standing up for a teammate who was clearly being targeted. And when the Fever and Sun met again in Boston, Cunningham didn't forget. She played with a chip on her shoulder. On one drive, she wrapped up Sheldon in a hard foul, intentional, calculated, and absolutely sending a message. It wasn't dirty, it was protective. It was a reminder, you don't touch our star without consequences. Cunningham's foul wasn't about revenge, it was about drawing a line in the sand. But even with players standing up, it was clear the referees still weren't getting the message. No technicals, no warnings, no accountability. The Fever were forced to defend themselves, and the league just watched it happen. What's happening to Caitlin Clark isn't isolated. It's a symptom of a bigger league-wide failure. Across the WNBA, stars are being pushed, slammed, and sidelined with disturbing regularity. Rib injuries, concussions, season-ending leg tears. It's happening to veterans and rookies alike. And yet, night after night, referees swallow the whistle. The physicality is ramping up, but the protection, it's nowhere to be found. and no one is feeling it more than Caitlin Clark. Other stars get whistles. Clark gets punishment. Game after game, she takes hits that would never be allowed on a Diana Taurasi or A'ja Wilson. She's body-checked in transition, smacked on the arm during drives, knocked down after jumpers, and nothing gets called. Even casual fans have started to notice the double standard. The cameras catch it, the commentators mention it. Her teammates react in real time, throwing their hands up after every no call. And when a nationally televised ESPN game turns into a wrestling match with no accountability, it sends one clear message. This league has a serious officiating crisis, and it's endangering its biggest names. By the second half, the game in Boston had spiraled into chaos, and everyone watching knew it. Missed calls weren't just occasional. They were constant. Caitlin Clark took elbow after elbow with zero response from the officials. Aaliyah Boston got slapped across the face by Tina Charles. No review, no upgrade, just a common foul. Sophie Cunningham got elbowed in the neck and hit the floor hard. The referees called her a flopper. The replays told one story, the refs told another. It wasn't just inconsistent, it was insulting. Even Clark's family had seen enough. Her brother Colin took to Twitter, posting, "Make no mistake, this is on the refereeing." And he wasn't wrong. Fans were outraged. Analysts were dumbfounded. And Clark herself? She finally snapped. In the third quarter, she walked off the court and into a heated exchange with referee Mike Price. Cameras caught her jawing at him, her frustration boiling over after months of silence. It was the breaking point, not just for Clark, but for everyone who'd been watching this build. This wasn't just a bad game. It was one of the worst displays of officiating the league had seen in years, and it overshadowed everything else. Stephanie White walked into the post-game press conference with fire in her eyes, and she didn't hold back. When reporters asked about Caitlin Clark's injury, her words were cautious, but the tone said everything. No update, just felt a little something in her groin. But when the questions shifted to the physicality Clark has faced all season, White didn't tiptoe around the truth. Her voice sharpened, her body language changed, and then she dropped the line that stopped the room cold. "I knew it as an opponent, and I see it now as her coach." That one sentence changed the conversation. White had coached against Clark before joining the Fever. She had game planned for her. She had seen how defenders were allowed to play her, and now she was seeing it from the other side. Her frustration was raw, her delivery matter-of-fact. "I'm not exactly sure why," she said, "but it is what it is." That wasn't resignation, it was a coded warning. The league knows what's happening, the refs know, and no one is stepping in. White didn't just expose the officiating, she exposed a broken system that's letting Clark get battered every game without consequences. It wasn't a rant, it was a truth bomb, backed by experience and broadcast live for the world to hear. This wasn't just about an injury, this was a warning shot to the entire WNBA. Caitlin Clark was supposed to headline the All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. Captain of her team, the face of the league, and a participant in her first WNBA three-point shootout. The event was tailor-made for her. Indiana, her fans, a national spotlight. But now that entire moment is in jeopardy. One groin pull, after months of ignored contact and missed calls, may have cost the league its biggest draw on its biggest stage. And that's not just a loss for Clark. It's a crisis for the league. The WNBA has never had a star rise this fast. Clark's jersey sales, TV ratings, and media buzz are breaking records. She's brought in new fans, new viewers, new energy. But instead of protecting that investment, the league has allowed her to be repeatedly battered, with barely a whistle in response. It's not just poor officiating, it's neglect. And if it continues, the consequences could be long-term. Clark's health, the Fever season, the credibility of the referees, even the trust of the fans, all of it is hanging in the balance. Caitlin Clark was supposed to shine on the biggest stage. Instead, she's sitting on the bench, injured, frustrated, and worn down by a system that's failed to protect her. This isn't just about one game, one foul, or one injury. It's about whether the WNBA is ready to protect its stars or watch them break under the weight of silence. If something doesn't change, we could be watching the slow destruction of one of the most exciting players women's basketball has ever seen. And that's not drama, it's reality. The Fever may have won the game, but the league lost something bigger: trust. Fans, coaches, and players are all saying the same thing now: enough is enough. Let's hope Caitlin makes a full recovery and gets the protection she's earned. Drop a get well soon in the comments to let her know she's not alone. Like this video if you believe the league has to do better. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next, because this story isn't over. And if you want to know where this all really started, click the video on the screen right now. We'll take you back to the game that lit the fuse and the hit that changed everything.